Welcome in all you psychics, bards, witches, and necromancers. We're here for the Occult Spell Deep Dive. Have you wondered, gee, Lord Generic, there's way too many spells in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I don't disagree with you, but they exist nonetheless. So let's look through it each level at a time. What spells are good, what situations are solid, and what should we pick for a practical and effective spell list. Now, as always, not every spell is going to be addressed here, only ones that are generally applicable. If there are specific situations, certain spells might do better, and if you find them, let me know. I'd love to hear it. With that said, let's get into it, huh? And speaking of getting into it, first, we do need to address what the occult list is. You see, the occult spell list is a rather unusual one. It's terrible at dealing damage, and is often stapled onto classes almost as a nerf. Occult spells, I would say, are generally a little lower power than other spells, but make up for it by being on classes with incredible class features. Bards offer some of the best buffs in the game. Witches have their incredibly versatile hex cantrips and hex spells, and psychics and necromancers are based entirely around using powerful focus spells and spamming those out every encounter. The occult spell list's role is to be a support, and in that support it offers incredible debuffs, mind manipulation and illusions, and a little bit of solid buffing and terrain control. Its main thing is to reduce enemy numbers and up your team's numbers a little bit. This is very important to keep in mind as we look through the occult spells. Damage is rare. If you want to blow your enemies up, this is not the spell list for you. If you want to watch your team tear the enemy to shred as your foes are defenseless, then maybe you want to play an occult spellcaster. And with all that said, we've got a lot of ground to cover, so let's just get into it, starting with your cantrips. Now, for those unfamiliar, cantrips are your spammable spells. You can always use your cantrip spells in any situation, and you can use them every fight, out of combat. They don't have a resource cost, so we want to pick generally 5 cantrips that keep you nice and versatile. And with that, Needle Darts is our starting cantrip. This is a strong 60-foot range attack cantrip. Targets your enemy's armor class. Does okay damage. Notably, if you purchase a silver and cold iron ingot as you get up a couple levels, you can then use those for your Needle Dart spell. It doesn't consume the ingot, but allows you to target silver and cold iron weaknesses. Things like vampires, fae, werewolves. Pretty nice to have on hand. And it's good to have a saving throw spell as well. So Void Warp is our general pick. Void Warp is a fortitude save that does some light damage. Note, as a save, it always does half damage even if they succeed. So against tough enemies, this is a much better pick. And for our last picks, Guidance is a fantastic one if you're not a bard. Remember, not a bard. Guidance lets you boost one teammate's anything by +1. Their next saving throw, their next skill, their next attack, they get a +1. That's pretty nice for one action. But again, if you're a bard, Guidance is not that useful. You have your bard songs that do a better job. Everyone, however, wants Shield. Shield ups your armor class by 1, and most importantly, allows you to spend your reaction to shield block, intercepting an incoming attack to reduce the damage. This is free HP every combat and helps keep your squishy spellcasting booty alive. And for our last slots, we got some competition. Light is okay. It's often replaceable by a torch, I'm not gonna lie. But it is nice for other situations. If you can cast light on an object, like say your friend's shield or sword, that can help them enter dark areas fully armed. Message is fantastic for role-playing purposes, allowing you to communicate with people silently and stealthily. Great for any diplomatic or conversation-heavy game. And Prestidigitation is just a fun one. Lets you do a lot of minor tricks, heating up things, flavoring your food, cleaning your clothes, that kind of thing. It's not good for combat, but hey, this is a role-playing game, and role-playing spells are just as important. Now, in my opinion, Rank 1 and Rank 2 occult spells are fairly mediocre, but they're important. These are your bread and butter, especially at low levels. So let's address and figure out what we can use well. Starting with damage, the classic raw numbers. You're either going to make HP go down or HP go up. And you still have some decent options. Force Barrage is your main pick here for attacks. It's your classic magic missile. You look at someone, you spend 1 to 3 actions, and you do that many shots for damage. Always works, no save, no roll, just do damage. Fantastic for finishing off low health enemies and hard to hit opponents. If you prefer something fancier, Biting Words is an interesting one. It's okay. It lets you do 3 attacks over 3 rounds. You keep sustaining it to throw out more attacks. This actually does a lot of damage over time if we consider it in terms of spell slot efficiency. But you could have cast a cantrip and then fired a crossbow or a sling, or even a bow if you're a bard. And in that sense, it's only okay. Last, Phantom Pain is a fascinating one. Phantom Pain is a pretty useful spell. It can apply Sickened, it can apply persistent damage on top of just its damage, and most importantly, it scales very well. You can upcast Phantom Pain all the time, and hey, it's always going to be a solid pick. So if that's what you're looking for, maybe give it a shot. And last, Soothe. Again, this isn't damage, but hey, makes HP go the other direction, so I'll just put it here. Soothe is your heal spell. This is your main source of healing. The entire game, you will upcast Soothe all the time. This is a huge, great pick for a signature spell if you're a bard or sorcerer or other spontaneous caster. You always want to have the option of a high power heal, and Soothe is the best you're going to get here. For the rest of your direct impacts, the weakness of the occult spell, you have a couple of okay control options. You have Lose the Path. This is an excellent reaction for when you're high levels and you can fill up your first rank spell slots with reactions and lower impact, more disposable moves. Lose the Path is a reaction that lets you reduce or maybe even cancel someone's movement. This is a good way to waste enemy actions as they approach. However, Illusory Object exists, and let me tell you, Illusory Object is worth everything. This allows you to make illusions in a 20-foot burst. It gets even better at rank 2 and rank 5, where the illusions become real. They become real to the touch and the smell. Huge deal. This spell is as powerful as your creativity. Rules as written. Now, let's be clear. Illusory Object causes a lot of arguments, and no one is necessarily wrong. the best kind of argument, right? Rules as written, you do have to spend an action to disbelieve an illusion by interacting with it. Otherwise, you can't know that it's an illusion. You have to disbelieve. However, many game masters will rule that you can walk through an illusion you have not disbelieved. You're going to have to talk to your game master as to how powerful illusions are going to be. If we take it really strict, they're unbelievably powerful. They waste at least 1 action if you surround enemies with fake walls and things like that. If your game master doesn't run it that way, they're still good, but they have more role-playing utility and a little less combat utility. Either way, I highly recommend Illusory Object. And last, we have both Gravitational Pull and Kinetic Ram. These spells do essentially the same thing in opposite directions. They give a fortitude save, and they will either pull or push an enemy towards or away from you. This has a lot of utility, helps you position characters in combat, force enemies to disengage from your friends, and make them waste an action moving. Additionally, as forced movement, these are great ways to break grab. If you have enemies that grab an ally or restrain them or grapple them, any kind of forced movement usually breaks that effect, so having a kinetic ram or a gravitational pull in your pocket is a great way to get your friends to safety. Onto the meat and potatoes though. Buffs and debuffs, this is where the occult list shines, and Lord, as you see, there's a lot of buffs. First off, Runic Weapon. This is the best buff in the game. This is the all-star, the big fight winner for levels 1 through 3. Until your party gets striking weapons, you want to be popping Runic Weapon all the time. Toss it on your fighter, your barbarian, your weapon-wielding buddies, and you will effectively up their damage anywhere from 50 to 100%. It adds an extra damage dice to their weapon, and that is huge. Huge extra damage. It also boosts their to hit, which is nice, but it's really about the extra damage dice. Toss this onto anyone with two-handed weapons like great swords, great axes, arquebus, guns, or bows. You'll see some huge benefit. And once your party's gotten those striking weapons, consider Bless. Bless is pretty evergreen in terms of value. Now again, this is useless on a bard. Bards don't care about Bless, but for other casters, it's really good. Bless gives you a +1 to hit aura. Everyone in 15 feet of you, +1 to hit for the next minute. And you can choose, optionally, to sustain the spell and make it bigger. You don't have to sustain Bless, it's an option. And that's really nice. +1 to hit's great. That's extra crit chance. You can throw this out in each fight, and it just kind of stacks up as you roll the dice over time. Beyond that, Sure Strike is a huge winner for any armor class targeting spells. If you have to make an attack roll on a big spell, combo it with Sure Strike. Cast Sure Strike for 1 action and then your attack spell for 2. And this is really going to help you land those hits and maybe even land some spicy criticals. It's really valuable. Nice to have. Beyond that, Liberating Commands, an insane buff spell. It's almost like an anti-control spell. This is a 1 action spell, which is very rare, mind you. A great pick when you're high levels and don't know what to spend low rank spells on. This allows a friend to immediately make 1 escape attempt against a grab or immobilized effect. Again, if your team is getting pinned down and grabbed by big beasties, Liberating Command lets you spend 1 action and be like, no, you're free. And if your buddy can't get out, I don't know, tell him to roll better. It is still a dice game. Beyond that, Sanctuary is huge, especially for role-playing purposes. Sanctuary allows you to protect 1 character. Anyone who wants to hurt them has to make will saves, or they might not be able to attack at all. This really helps you keep NPCs safe. Anyone you have to escort or protect for story reasons, Sanctuary is great. And it lets you toss this on teammates who don't plan on hurting any enemies. The spell breaks if you do a hostile action, but if you just heal your friends, drag allies to safety, maybe stand in a doorway, raise your shield, and you have a fighter or a champion just standing there, well, they're not doing hostile actions. Sanctuary can make it even harder and buy your team time to blast the enemy to bits. Very situational, but powerful when it works. And last, Pocket Library. This spell used to be common, and then it got moved to rare when they published a new book. So I'm just counting it as common. This is a Recall Knowledge buff. It only gives you a +1 at low ranks. You can upcast it for a +2. But essentially it gives you a buff to your next Recall Knowledge of choice. This is a great wand spell at high levels. You just always want to pop one of these off at high levels. Because, hey, slightly better Recall Knowledge. Who doesn't like that? And despite all that, debuffing is where Occult shines. Even at rank 1, you have a lot of great options, starting with Fear. Fear is okay. It's not amazing. At rank 1, it hits a single target, applies a nice Frightened debuff. This is a great way to reduce their numbers. That's always good. But it really takes off at rank 3. Rank 3, it can target multiple targets, hits up to 5 enemies. That's where it's super strong. It's okay here. Command, however. Fear is your consistent pick. It always debuff the enemy even if they succeed. Command's the risky pick. If you think, hey, this bad guy, I want to waste 2 of his actions, and I'm willing to risk him shrugging it off to no effect, then we start throwing out Command. This forces your enemy to do a thing of your choice with 1 action, and then usually it takes an action for them to recover. If they fall prone with one action, it takes one action for them to stand up. If they run away with one action, it takes one action for them to approach. If they drop their weapon for one action, they need an action to pick it up. Things like this, your party can really abuse this if you plan for it. It's incredibly potent and powerful when it works, but it is risky. For less risky options, we do have Enfeeble. Enfeeble is an interesting one. It's a fortitude save, single target spell that applies, well, it enfeebles. It weakens them and reduces their melee to hit and damage. It reduces their strength stat effectively. Now, it has a downside. There's a big problem with Enfeeble. Generally, the enemies you want to reduce their strength the most on are enemies that are huge bruisers, big bad guys that smash you into paste. But big bad guys often are really tough, so they have high fortitude saves. A little bit awkward. However, if you want to be risky, we can fix that with Goblin Pox. Goblin Pox is one of the best low rank debuffs. Now it is touch range. Touch range means you have to physically be next to the target. Super risky for a caster. But if they run up to you, hey, may as well let it rip. They make a fortitude save and become sickened 1 on a success. On a failure, they contact the Goblin Pox disease, which is even worse. And sickened is one of the best debuffs in the game. It is essentially frightened, where all of their numbers go down by 1, offensive and defensive. But they have to spend an action to get rid of it. So Goblin Pox reduces their numbers and spends at least one action to debuff. That's huge. And Leaden Steps is a team-specific debuff. It's a fascinating one. This is a sustained spell, mind you, but it encumbers your opponent. It encumbers them, which reduces their defenses and applies an electricity weakness. Very interesting. An imposed weakness. That means they take bonus damage every time you do electric damage. So use Leaden Steps if you have party members like an alchemist throwing lightning damage, or a wizard or a druid using electric arc and other sources of electrical damage. You can really stack up the numbers through some teamwork. And last, there's a lot of utility picks here. Oh boy. First off, Alarm. Great wand spells all around, by the way. Wands and scrolls are huge for everything here. But Alarm is your home security. Toss this on a door or a window and it makes an alarm go off when someone opens it. This is great for resting at night, sleeping in inns, just generally being safer, avoiding nighttime ambushes, which might save your life. And Carry-All is another great one. This is your magic wheelbarrow. It lets you carry extra stuff, lets you carry extra items. It essentially creates a disc that you can toss items onto. So, you know, you can grab loot, grab furniture. Whatever weird plan you have, this is pretty useful at doing it. Notably, Carry-All can carry a living creature at rank 4, as long as they aren't too heavy. That means you can carry a party member. Carry-All follows you automatically. Are you catching what I'm putting down here? If you have a light party member, you can cast rank 4 Carry-All, and your party member rides it, and it just automatically follows you as you move. This lets you increase team mobility. It's a little wacky, but it is a funny trick. And Friend Fetch, this is an uncommon spell. You have to ask your game master if you can use it. Friend Fetch is huge. This allows you to pull 1 or 2 teammates directly to you. Great way to pull weak enemies or weak allies out of dodge, get them away from enemies. If someone goes down in combat, you can pull them out of the danger zone immediately, get them out of traps. It has a lot of utility. This is a great spell. And speaking of great spells, Helpful Steps, in my experience, has been unbelievably useful. This makes a 40-foot staircase. The end. Which sounds simple, but think about how many role-playing situations a 40-foot staircase actually solves. Any walls, cliffs, ravines, attics. You can just make staircases, and if you upcast it, it gets 40 feet taller every single rank. This thing is a towering spire quickly. It's insane. And last, the ever useful lock spell. Lock lets you, well, lock something. That doesn't sound too useful on the front, but consider you can, much like Alarm, lock doors while you're sleeping at night. And more than that, let's say you're in a fight and enemies are pouring through a doorway, right? Two enemies have gotten in through the door and another 2 are in the next room ready to enter. For your turn, ask the buddy to run up and close the door, right? They close the door. On your turn, you run up to the door, you cast lock, the door is magically sealed, and they now need to break down the door or break through your lock, which is going to take a ton of actions and is actually very difficult. You've just cut the enemies in half. Well, you've cut the enemy numbers in half. And your team can take them out, divide and conquer. At rank 1, it is possible. Lock is a powerful spell. Huge value on a wand, because you can very feasibly get use out of this every single day. As you level up, there's a lot of useful items, a lot of things you can spend your gold on, and rank 1 occult, oh boy, you're going to be spending gold here a while. As we mentioned, scrolls of helpful steps and illusory object are always good. You never know when you need an emergency staircase or an emergency fake wall, fake rock, fake curtain to hide your party or disguise something. Always good. And wands, alarm, carryall, pocket library, lock. There's so many good wands here. They're all worth the investment. They're pretty cheap because these are rank 1 spells. They're quite inexpensive and very much worth picking up. Now, how do we actually build this? What spells do we take? You see, if you want to be more of a blaster, this isn't a good list. Occult is bad for damage, but we'll do our best. If you like being more direct, hey, we'll provide builds. For the blaster in you, I recommend taking Force Barrage and Phantom Pain. These give you good options for single target damage. Area of effect damage is not going to be your strong suit, but we can take some single targets still. And Illusory Object is a powerful battlefield control with insane role-playing value. Good multi-duty, multi-purpose spell. And at low levels, Runic Weapon needs to be in a slot. We're going to trade this out by level 4 when your party is striking weapons, but it just massively amps your team's damage output. It's so strong. I really recommend it. Yet for those leaning more into the control side of Occult, you'll be pretty happy with this list. Force Barrage is still worth it at low ranks when you aren't using Runic Weapon. Because it really does just finish off low HP enemies. No risk, no harm, no chance of a crit success and hurting your allies. Nah. 3 missiles to the face, we're done here. Illusory Object is always good and scales well. Illusory Object never falls off, I would like to note. It's always useful. Soothe is your healing spell and very worth taking, especially if you are the main emergency backup healer on the team, then you really need Soothe. And Bless is a good fallback. When everything else isn't as useful, when your spell slots aren't quite as valuable at rank 1, Bless, hey, a +1 stays relevant the whole game. That's always 5% more crit chance for the team, no matter what. And finally, for those who have gotten high levels, once you're past level 5, rank 1 spells aren't that valuable. I mean, they're good, but you have so many other options. So what do we use rank 1 spells on? Well, here's some great picks. Illusory Object, like we said, never falls off, are always good. Now, illusions are better at rank 2, but rank 1 is still visually functional and sound-wise functional. That's still solid. There's a lot of role-playing value here and some combat potential. Liberating Command helps your team get away from grabs. If you have access to it, Friend Fetch is another great pick in this slot to pull allies out of bad situations. Bless always gives a +1. This is good for close range casters and not on Bard, so Psychic, probably not. A close range Necromancer, Bless is really good. Lose the Path is a great reaction to fill your slots. When an enemy moves, they make a will save, and hey, they might lose that move action entirely. the chances are low, but even difficult terrain can cost them another stride action. Hey, not bad. And Sure Strike, if you are using a lot of attack rolls. Many casters don't use attack rolls, they don't target enemy armor class, but psychics, damage-focused psychics with imaginary weapon or ignition, you're going to want Sure Strike. This is really good for you. You definitely want to pick this up. Land those big amped hits. Now that's it for our first part of this series. There's so many spells, we gotta break it up into multiple videos. There's no other way. But hey, go ahead and get ready to hop on over to the Occult spell list ranks 2 and 3 and see what we got cooking. And if you feel like it, feel free to subscribe to our channel at Lord Generic RPG. We got lots of Pathfinder content coming up. I am a little slow to make things. I'll get faster with time, I hope, but we try and make it good quality stuff. And let me know what you think, huh? Any spells I missed, any things you want to see? Let me know in the comments,